Welcome home to USA Global TV and Radio, a place where dreams take flight, with authentic storytelling, diverse perspectives and meaningful conversations, where global stories unite and bridges are built beyond all borders. Discover world-class education, entertainment, hope and inspiration. Together, we're building bridges worldwide. Subscribe to our channel, USA Global TV. Download our app, USA Global TV. Be our guest or join our team. Visit usaglobaltv.com. Thanks to our founder and executive producer, Dr. Jacqueline Kerbeck. Music score by Yeffy Tang from Cloud Road Music. Voiceover artist Mike Porter. Creative direction by Paul Garcia. USA Global TV and Radio, your home for global connection. All rights reserved. This video and its contents are the exclusive property of USA Global TV and Radio. Unauthorized use, duplication or redistribution in any form is strictly prohibited.
Hey everybody, welcome to You as a Whole, Body, Mind, and Soul, and it is on USA Global TV and Radio. And today's topic is another heavy one. What we had one last week, and it actually was the #1 show on the network last week. And this week, when to keep people close and when to cut them off. And what really precipitated this was a couple of things. One, people in my own life who seem to take I want to be careful how I word this. Seem to be able to take from you, but when it's time to give or time to reciprocate, it's not as easy for them to do that. And there's the problem that I have with it is, friendship doesn't have to be 50-50, of course. I mean, it's never going to be 50-50 exactly. But when it becomes that you do most of the giving and you do most of the work and trying to help people, it's like if somebody asks you to move them from one house to another, and then the next month you move and you ask them to move you from one house to another, and they say, well, I'm busy, I can't do that. That's frustrating, and I think that's where a lot of the world has gone. So I have one friend who she completely cut me off because I didn't appreciate some of every conversation was her problems, what she needed, what she was going through, her issues, and it was just somehow every one of my issues got turned into somehow back into what she was worried about, and it gets old after a while. Then I didn't really complain, but I stopped talking to her a little bit. I backed off a little bit and just stopped calling, and she was angry about that and decided that I wasn't a real friend, and that's unfortunate. But at the same time, the I don't want to say rage, but the anger builds up inside me, where I say the hell with it, and you know what, just go. I don't really need you. So I haven't been that way for most of my life, and I'm starting to get that way as I get a little bit older. And I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing. I've been a people pleaser my whole life, and I have tried to do that without any strings. But at some point, if you're not getting reciprocation, then it's why are you doing it? Why is it worth it? And I had the same issue again with friends recently. It's they don't call, they don't like anything on Facebook, they don't ask you to do things unless there's money involved. They wants you to uh, participate in events that um, other people who are participating are probably not the best people for you to be around, and it's frustrating. It's or you do a lot of work for them. You try to get them as much help as that you can for their events and things like that, because I do events myself. I plan hockey events, NHL celebrity events for Checkmates, our charity. I'm wearing the jersey right now. I'm going to wear it for the remainder of the summer until August 23rd when we have our game. But at least in my case, to know they have events and then try to work as hard as I can to make those events as good as possible, knowing that they are struggling, and then not see that reciprocation. It's disheartening. It really is. It flattens you out, and it just happened to my daughter as well. It was her 14th birthday this past July 4th, so Friday. She's a 4th of July baby, and she was crying. And I said, "Why are you crying on your birthday? What's going on? What's the problem?" And she said, "Not, out of all my friends, one of my friends wished me a happy birthday through text." And boy, that's a tough parent situation, because part of me wanted to tell them where they could go and tell her to tell them where they can go. And the other part of me wanted to just console her and calm her down. And I'm glad I took that road. But I did tell her that, if people are not here's a kid that has very little money. I mean, she's a 14-year-old kid. How much money could she have, right? She doesn't have a ton of money. So she uses her money and she'll buy gift after gift after gift and make gift baskets. And she writes 10 letters. She calls them cards, but they're letters actually, to friends, and she'll send them and or bring them to them at school, or drive them to we'll drive her over. They'll drop it off at the house. And she's just like me. She does those things, those extra little steps that you do because you want to make people happy. And then to get it, for her to not get any or barely any happy birthdays, even a text, after doing all that, is it was really extremely, it was a lesson for her, but it was an aggravating lesson for her and for me. I really struggled not showing anger as the emotion. But I told her, I said, "Listen, you're going to have to understand that there are going to be a lot of people in this world who are going to they're going to take advantage of you being a good person. They're going to take advantage of all the things that you do, all the extras, all the stuff that you do to try to make their lives better and try to make them happy. And they may turn around and do absolutely nothing for you." And that's the sad thing that we have to deal with. And but the issue comes in where do you draw the line? Where do you say that I've had enough? You've taken me for what you needed. Now you're selfish. You got what you needed. You're good for yourself, and I'm going to let you go. And I've had it. That's it. There's no relationship, and it's over. And when do you say, well, people are not going to always reciprocate exactly the way you want them, so don't cut off people just because they don't reciprocate. And it's not a black or white issue. It's a gray issue. It's a gray area, I should say. And it's something that I wrestle with. I am very, very sensitive to being taken advantage of. I don't like it. It's happened to me before. Uh, Maybe I'm hypersensitive to it because I allowed it to happen in the past in my life because I am a people pleaser and I didn't want to rock the boat, or I didn't want to say anything that or do anything that would upset anyone. And now at 50 years old, I am a little resentful, to be honest with you, that I have allowed myself to be taken advantage of. So I'm trying to teach my kids now that before they have to endure 50 years of it, that sometimes it's just better not to have them in your life. Sometimes it's better just that they're not there, because if they don't care, what's the point? What are you trying to do? Where's the upside? You know, yeah, all right, maybe the good for good's sake, but you can do that with anybody, and a lot of people are appreciative. I mean, if you give homeless people money, or you help people who are poor, a lot of times they're very, very appreciative, and they can't return the favor, but you didn't do it for that. You did it because you wanted to be good. You wanted to do good things for them, and you did. But when people have the means and have the ability, or when they say to me things like, well, I'm in my selfish phase now, or I feel like I need to think about me and put me first, well, why did I put them first back in the past? And now when push comes to shove, I'm not first at this point. And it's I really don't, I don't have an answer. I wish I could tell you. This is just like last week. I said the same thing last week with, I forget what the question was, what we were talking about exactly last week, but it was another one of those similar topics about people, and what you're willing to deal with and what you're not willing to deal with. And, trying to find an answer, trying to find the middle ground is a struggle. It's something that I don't want my kids to go through life and have to accept the fact that they've been disrespected, or that they've been cheated, or that they've been taken advantage of, because it is extremely aggravating. And I look back even at my college days and high school days and even before that, and there is a resentment there. There is why did I do all that? What was the reason? Yeah. And then people will say he was a great guy. He did this, for me, and that he did that for me. But then you turn around and they're not there. When you need them, they're not there. And then you have other people who bend over backwards for you, and then you got to make sure that you go the extra mile for them. I have people who are helping me with the charity right now that are doing a ton of work, and they're really working hard, and they're putting in a lot of time and effort, not for money, but just to try to help the cause. We service people with inflammatory bowel disease, which is Crohn's disease, ulcerative colitis, and ostomy. And those folks are putting in a ton of hours and time and effort just to help, and just to try to get it off the ground and get it to be as successful as possible. And I look at them, I'm like, why is it that some people can do that, and why is it that other people can't? And I don't get it. And I don't even know if I want to get it. I just think that we've gotten into a situation in this world where it's a very self-centered, what's in it for me, how does it affect me, what's best for me world. And a lot of it comes from bitterness. I could easily be bitter right now and say that I'm not going to help anybody do anything at any time, in any place, anywhere. I can. I can decide that I'm not going to do that. I see people doing that now. They're like, nope, you got to put me first. And I'm not going to, I'm not doing it. I did it too much and I did it too long. And I'm not putting myself at a disadvantage again. And I would have put me first. And that's just the way it is. And either you like it or you don't. Well, I don't. I don't like it. I don't. And I'm not going to change because of that. But I will say this: there's only so much I'm going to take. If you're going to not reciprocate, if you're not going to be respectful of what I do for you or the effort that I put in for you, then I'm not going to do it anymore. And that's what I told my daughter. I said, just don't do it. Don't make the baskets. Don't write the cards. To the people who are thankful for it, to the people, like one of her friends hung the card on her wall and was just really so happy to get that gift from my daughter. And I said, well, do it for her again. That's the person that you do it for. And for the people who forget you on your birthday and don't even text you and don't even bother wishing you happy birthday, just let them go. They're not really your friends. They're not really, if they're not treating you the way you should be treated, then what are you doing? What's the problem? But I listened to her cry for half an hour, and it was a mix of, like I said, sadness for her. I felt bad that she had to learn this life lesson, and then the rage that I felt in myself, knowing that I've been in that position before and knowing what she feels like now. And I don't. I have friends who are angry at me right now because I unfriended them on Facebook, and I don't know if it can be repaired or not. I don't know if they're. I tried to see if we could talk about it, or because they said, well, why did you just unfriend me? Why didn't you just call me and tell me what was going on? And sometimes it feels like you can't because they don't want to hear it. That they're into whatever they need at that time, and they're not. It's just you're not a priority. So it, the reaching out is just not always an option. So if I seem down, if I seem aggravated, if I seem frustrated, I am. It's probably, I would say, the 80s were the start of this greed is good mentality. If you remember, I think it was the movie was Wall Street, and people still quote it today and say greed is good, and no, it's not. It's not good. It's not. How does my life get better? What can I do to get ahead? Of course, we all try to do our best to enhance our lives and make more money and help our families and things like that. But man, oh man, if you can't take the time out to help other people, especially people who've helped you before. The night before surgery, I'll never forget when I had surgery in 2015. It was a massive surgery, and I remember everybody who called me the night before surgery, all the people who called, and um, I will always be appreciative and always remember them for making that kind of effort the night before. Now, did I feel like talking to everybody the night before I had to go through major surgery? No, not necessarily. I was apprehensive and I had a lot going through my mind at the time, and I wasn't ready or in the mood to discuss it, but I sucked it up because these people were making a genuine effort to reach out in their own way and give me the support that I needed to get through that surgery. So, as much as I wanted to just lay down and get the night over with, go to sleep and get up the next morning and have surgery and have it be over, I decided that it was more important to answer all those phone calls and to talk to those people. And some of them talked to me for half an hour, and I listened to them for half an hour, and they listened to me for half an hour, and we just talked about old times, and you know that things would get better after surgery, and things like that. But I could have very easily been selfish and said, well, look, you know what, I have to have surgery tomorrow. I really don't feel like talking about it. Thanks for calling. Goodbye. And I don't know if anybody would hold it against me if I did that, but I didn't feel that that was the thing to do. I felt like the thing to do was to make sure that everybody knew how appreciative I was, that they were all in my corner and on my side, and they were ready to back me up no matter what happened. And I did it. And I remember those people today. I can remember every one of them. And I remember all the conversations. So I try to help them as much as possible. If they call me up and they say they have a problem, I'm going to be the first one there to help them do that. And I have friends that don't want to be bothered when they're this whole idea of I can beat it myself is another thing that I just don't get, especially with mental health when you're going through hard times. I'm tough enough to beat it myself. Well, you know what? Sometimes you're not. When people have cancer, they go to the hospital, they get chemotherapy, they get radiation, they get all kinds of medications, surgeries to heal and cure, hopefully, their disease. Or when people have diabetes and they have an infection, they go to the hospital and get that taken care of. They don't just say, well, you know what, I'm tough enough that I'm going to fight this and it's not going to be a problem for me. But people do this with mental illness all the time. People do this constantly with mental illness, where they think that it's a matter of fighting. And I'm actually right now in therapy for extensive therapy for depression for 3 weeks, 4 days, 5 days a week, 4 hours a day. And it's no different than when I was sick before and had to go to the hospital. And they're in hospital. I'm not in the hospital. I'm outpatient, but it's intensive therapy, and it's because you can't fight this. You just can't. There is no fighting it. One of the things they explained was the problem with people with mental illness and with depression, anxiety, OCD. And I'm not talking about mental illness like being psychotic, homicidal, suicidal. I'm talking about depression, anxiety, OCD, where you're not endangering anybody. You're just not happy. You're just not. Your life is not what you're not living. You're just kind of going through the motions and just letting time tick by. And one of the people there, when I got there, said the problem is people think it's a fight, and I did too. Like, if you fight it, you beat it. And he said the problem with it is you fight it, but it comes back stronger. And when it comes back stronger, you try to fight harder. And what does it do? It comes back stronger. And you fight it again, it comes back stronger. So it's a constant loop of you trying to fight it yourself without the techniques that you need to do it, or medication, or a mix of both. And there are way too many people who say, I just put my head down and get through it. Well, no, you don't. You get through the day, but you're not living your life. You're not living your life. You're doing things to try to mask it and try to make yourself believe that you're defeating it, but you're not, because you're not happy. When people say, well, you don't know how it happened, and because you see me on Facebook and for 2 minutes, you can see my happiness, but you don't see the other parts of the day, the almost 24 hours of the day, 23 hours and 58 minutes that I'm unhappy or struggling or going through hell or whatever it is. Well, no, that's true. We don't see that. But why are you not letting people know that? Why are you not getting the help that you need to try to get through that? You could choose. You could decide that you want to live that way or you don't. And this comes down to when do you just let people go? I mean, when do you say, look, if you're going to choose that lifestyle, if you're going to choose to be bitter and to not want to get better and not reach out and not talk and all those things, when is it better just to say, you know what, this person's toxic, it's just not worth my time, and let them do what they got to do. You know, you cannot let, if you're going, and they tell you this all the time, if you're teaching people or lifeguards, if you jump into the water and the person you're trying to save is pulling you under, you gotta let them go. You fight and try to uh, you try to calm them down and get them to understand. But if they're pulling you under, you have to let them go, because now you're going to drown too. You can't do that. You just cannot do that. And these people will pull you down. They'll take you down and they'll hold you down, and you're going to feel it. And you're going to be depressed. You're going to be annoyed. You're going to have your birthday, a couple of hours of your birthday ruined from not only the sadness, but the rumination, going through your head over and over and over again, the frustration. And that's not, it's not fun. It's not fun. It's annoying. It's frustrating. And then you're the bad guy when you point it out, which is the other part of it that gets even more frustrating, is when you're like, well, you know what? I've had it. You know, it's like, well, if you were a better friend, you would understand. Well, you know, I don't know about that. I mean, there's a limit to how much compassion that you can have without being stepped on, without people kicking dirt in your face and not treating you the way that you should be treated. I don't think that it's inappropriate to say, I don't like the way you're treating me. I don't like the way that you're acting. And, you know, it's unfortunately, I'm seeing it ruin people who normally their heart would be in the right place and they would be people pleasers and they would be happy doing that. But they're so bitter and so angry at other people, and maybe relatives, husbands, wives, fathers, mothers, that they finally have gotten so frustrated and have gotten so little reciprocation in their life that they are now not going to do it for anybody. You know, I want to be selfish. I've seen it. I've seen people say this. I have to think of me. I have to put me first. Okay, fine. You get to put yourself first sometimes. I get it. You got to put your family first sometimes. That's not a bad thing. But if your personality becomes that it's all about me, it's all about, you know, what can I do for me? You know, whether it's going to help other people or not, or if it goes against what other people need or not, then no, it's not all right. I mean, it might be all right for them, but if it's not a fit for you, then it's not a fit. So I know we're coming up on 5 minutes left in the show, and it hasn't been a positive show, that's for sure. Who knows if it's going to be number one, right? Watch it be another number one show. But I don't know. I don't have the answers. I really don't. There's Rachel. Hey, Rachel. Hello. Antoinette said your daughter is awesome and she should continue being as sweet as she is. Hugs to you all. Thanks, Rachel. Thanks, Antoinette. We appreciate it. Rachel and Antoinette are on every every week. So I really appreciate that. That means a lot. See, that's somebody that you would do stuff for. Rachel and I have been friends since we were 15 or 16 years old. And I'm, I think she's the same age I am. She's probably 49 or 50, and I'm 50. And, would I do anything to help her? Sure, of course, because she, on my show almost every week, or she shows up to events that she can. And when she can't, she messages me. She'll say, "Hey, there was an event that I had a couple of weeks ago. Two friends, one friend, Rachel, messaged me and said, 'I'm sorry I can't make it because such and such happened.' I was fine with that. She had said she was going to be there and she was going to be a part of it, and she couldn't. But she messaged me and she told me that. And then another friend who didn't show up and didn't message me, and then sent me a Facebook post the next day. And it's like, well, why wouldn't you message me and say, listen, I can't make it? And the excuse was, I knew you were really busy. Really? I'm so busy that I can't pick up the phone and look at it for 3 seconds and see, I'm sorry, something happened. I can't make it. And it's somebody that you've worked hard for, that you've pulled for, that gotten them a lot of help for different things. It's frustrating. And then they're surprised when you're not happy about it. You're supposed to, well, why are you upset? Why did you unfriend me? Why did you not ring the bell or come when the bell rang this time? Well, because you didn't when I needed it, or you didn't even really make an attempt to try to let me know. So no, I'm not happy about that. I'm the only way that I can continue to be a people pleaser if I please people who are appreciative of it. If I please people who are not appreciative of it and I get kicked in the face, it's only going to make me bitter. It's only going to make me not want to do it for anybody. And that's not fair to everybody else, because not everybody else does that. So my thing is, either you cut them out of your life and you say, thanks for, nice knowing you, or you leave the relationship a distant one, maybe a transactional one where maybe you're in business together, or maybe you, you know, not necessarily hang out or anything like that, but just, maybe say hi to each other, like something on Facebook or whatever, and that's it. That's the only relationship you really have, and that's all you want. But that's not your fault. That's what they are. That's what they want. I'm getting to the point at this age, and with my own thought process, that I'm not going to let people define how things are going to go with me. I'm going to decide for myself how things are going to go. I'm not going to allow guilt or past experiences or anything like that make me change who I am. But I'm certainly not a pushover. And if I allow myself to be a pushover, it will only eat me up. It will only make me angry. And it will only make me not want to be as helpful as possible to everybody else. And I don't want to be that way. I don't want to be stingy. I don't want to be nasty. I don't want to be hard-lined. So my only choice really is to give who wants to receive and reciprocate, and for everybody else, not. And just kind of say, well, sorry, that's just the way it's going to be. So we're going to run a commercial in a second. I just want to remind you, August 23rd. Here's the you got to see the C there. There's the emblem and the hockey game we're playing against the NHL alumni. We got some new alumni players, so we changed up some of the alumni players. With Mark Recchi and Brian Proper, the two headliners that are going to be there. So we're going to run this commercial and then we'll wrap up the show.
Hey everybody, I just want to tell you how thankful I am that you came out tonight and helped us out on a very special evening. Crohn's and colitis are terrible diseases and they affect a lot of people, not only in the Delaware Valley, but all over the world. And hopefully we can find a cure someday.
Nolan here with you at the Checkmates versus the Flyers alumni. We had a great time this afternoon. Game was close, and we're all here for Checkmates Charities, which is the real reason that everybody's here, not only the players, but all the fans that were here. It was a great day, and we're really happy to be here.
It was fun to be out here at Northeast Skate Zone because the Checos were a pretty good team, and so we had a lot of fun with the charity. And it was good because they took it easy on us old guys. So we had a good time. So anytime you can do something for charity, and I know a couple guys on the other team, and just be on the rink, we all go have fun.
Good times go. I'm either gone in an instant or here to the bitter, and I never know what I got.
I want to thank my family for all that they did to help me get through this, and there's a lot of planning that get done. It has to get done. I want to thank Nick's Roast Beef and Common Avenue for all they've done. Dr. Prieto for saving my life, finding the disease and treating me for so long, and the Flyers organization for all they do to help us raise money every year. So thank you, everybody. I appreciate it.
So, baby, we're ready to go. It's going to be August 23rd, 2025. Headliners include Brian Prop, Mark Recchi. We have Grant Marshall, who's not going to be a part of the game. Probably Christian Hansen, if you remember the Hansen brothers, their son, one of their sons is going to be in the game. Chris Terrian, Doug Crossman. So a lot of ex-Flyers. Todd Fedoruk, Riley Cote, I think, and we're looking for one more NHLer. And we're going to have a 2-hour open bar at the end of the game, and a party, 2-hour open bar, full buffet, and just going to have a great time. We're going to have a lot of people there, celebrities there. Joe Conklin's going to come and do a comedy set. So hopefully everything falls into place, and I will see you there. Just go to www.checkmatescharity.com, and you can buy your tickets right there on the front page, on the homepage. All right, everybody, thank you for watching. I hope you had that wasn't the happiest of topics, but I hope we've figured something out here, and I'll see you next week.
In a world full of noise, misunderstandings, and interruptions, master the art of listening with Dr. Jacqueline Kerbeck. Dr. Jacqueline Kerbeck is the listening mentor of USA Global TV and Radio and the Amazon #1 best-selling author of Mastering the Power of Elevated Listening. Elevate your listening. Elevate your life. Join a global learning experience in person or via Zoom. Reserve your spot today. usaglobaltv.com/book-your-session or drjacqueline.thinkific.com. Join Dr. Kerbeck's listening courses or hire her to unlock deeper connections and authentic conversations. Thank you, viewers and listeners of USA Global TV and Radio, for joining us today. We're honoured to have your time and attention as part of our global community. At USA Global TV and Radio, we believe in the power of authentic conversations, meaningful connections, and creating a world of possibilities together. Want to be part of something bigger? Join our team of elevated listeners at usaglobaltv.com, a space where your voice matters and your ability to listen transforms relationships. Stay connected with us across all our platforms for thought-provoking discussions, expert insights, and empowering stories. Subscribe to our channels at youtube.com/c/usaglobaltv. Follow us on social media and explore the endless opportunities we're creating for growth, learning, and inspiration. Together, we're not just broadcasting, we're building bridges and changing lives one conversation at a time. For inquiries, contact us at info@usaglobaltv.com. Music by Johnny Dyes. Produced by Executive Producer and Director Dr. Jacqueline Kerbeck. Voiceover by Mike Porter. Creative direction by Paul Garcia. All rights reserved. Copyright 2025. Visit usaglobaltv.com to view our full terms and conditions.